detailing, the storyline, the way everything just played out seamlessly. Mm, Loved it. Like I'm not even gonna lie, I loved it. Loved it. Okay. Hey, and welcome to my first video of 2021. So this is Intro to Eclecticism. My name is Dawn Shay. You can find me on Bookstagram at Intro to Eclecticism, or like follow the hashtag Shady Reads. I tag all of my posts with that so that I can go back and just like reflect in one whole space. But yeah, welcome. If this is your first time, and hello, if it's been a while, because I know I have not uploaded a video in like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. So welcome back. Hi, happy new year. So as you can see from the title of this video, I am bringing you all a recap, a review, a rant and rave. I don't really know how I'm gonna categorize this, but it's about the Out of Line collection by Amazon. And I know we're all like anti-Amazon, but the convenience of just reading and Audible, y'all, I know I said I don't really listen to audiobooks, but some of these were a bit of a doozy and I needed somebody else to read it to me so that I could really follow along, because otherwise my brain was just all the way over there and it needed to be right in the book. So I'm going to go through all 7 of the short stories in the Out of Line collection. And I just want to say, overall, it was a good collection. So basically we have 7 different short stories by 7 different authors, and they're all centered around womanhood and what the world kind of defines womanhood as in both the past, the present, and possibly in the future. Some of these that were placed in the future, I'm like, I pray it never ends up this way, because god awful. Don't want to take too much time. Let's get started. So the first short story is called This Telling by Cheryl Strayed. And so when I went into these collections, I had no idea it was all central around womanhood. I had no idea. And I think that was the joy in it, because once it started to like come 2 and 2 making 4, I was like, oh man, this is all right. And so I started reading it and I was like, okay. So basically, anyways, in This Telling by Cheryl Strayed, it is about this woman who basically becomes a teen mom, and her parents send her away to give the baby up for adoption. And so overall, I rated this 3 stars, which by my rating scale, which you can also check out on my Instagram, means that I like it. It's not something I'm going to reread potentially, or something that I'm like, oh, I definitely enjoyed this. It was just like, oh, this is a cool little short story. Can't even like not give them credit for that. But basically, the woman is, going through her life, and it goes over the span of 50 years. Sometimes you can do a short story over a span of multiple decades and it kind of flows together, because we see it in another short story within this collection. But this one, it was just like, okay, I need more details about this. I need more details, like, just to make a little more sense and more enjoyable for me as the reader. But it was still okay at the end. At the very end of it, I don't know if this is considered a spoiler. I never really know how to filter out spoilers, and like, I don't know. But at the very end, she's like, the main character, she's like telling her daughter that she has, had to give a baby up for adoption in the past. Mind you, she's like almost 70 now by the end of the short story. And I don't really know. I just wanted to know, like, did that alter the relationship she had with her daughter? Because like they were saying, like they had such a strong relationship, and it's just like, well, if she's getting this news that she has a sister somewhere out there in the world, does that alter their relationship? And I guess that's the point of short stories, to make us think and kind of like fill in those blanks on our own. But that's kind of why I rated it 3 stars. I also wanted to know a little bit more about if she wanted the child so bad, why didn't she just keep it? But she was also 17, and this was like pre-feminism era, so she couldn't really make all these full decisions on her own. But yeah, that was this telling. Nah, that's really all I have. So yeah, 3 stars. Now I'm playing it back in my head. Maybe it's like 2.5. But I'm just keep it at 3. We're just gonna keep it at 3. So for the next short story, this is my favorite one out of the whole collection. Like the detailing, the storyline, the way everything just played out seamlessly. Loved it. Like I'm not even gonna lie, I loved it. Okay, so it's by Roxane Gay, and it's called Graceful Burdens. And so basically, I gave it 4 stars, maybe a 4.5, because it was like that for me. I literally made my boyfriend read it because it was just one of those, it was quick, but it was perfect. It was well thought out. The characters were not stunted in development or like, you know, forced into, like, it wasn't like forced, it wasn't rushed. Like sometimes I feel like short stories are kind of rushed because it's like, this is supposed to be a short story, so let's make it short. But no, even though it was like 30 plus odd pages, it was still really good. So Graceful Burdens is basically in the future. It's in the future, and basically men and women are both sent through genetic testing once they hit 16, because that's when you're an adult. And so if you have good genes, then you get to procreate basically. And if you have bad genes, then if you're a man, you get sterilized. If you're a woman, you just go on about your business, but you don't get to have kids. So there are many women who are like, I still want to have kids. So they have this library where you can go check out babies for 2 weeks. Yeah. When I got to that part, I said, oh my God, wait, what is happening? So basically, we see the way 4 characters, stories and life paths like come together and intertwine. And this one I would give major spoilers, so I'm not gonna share too much, but we follow along Hadley, who is not able to procreate. She didn't get approval. And then there's another woman named Serafina, I believe, and she was able to procreate, but she did not want to be a mom. She hates it. She has nannies. She's not interested in it at all. And so somehow the nannies and Hadley come together in a very suspicious way. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. And you're probably over there asking yourself, where do the babies at the library come from that people get to check out? And this is why you need to go read Graceful Burdens, because Roxane really killed it. Unfortunately, Roxane is the only Black author within this collection. Is that the reason I love the story? No, not necessarily, but we know Black authors have a little bit of spice that they're able to give, and just, I don't know, that's more relatable for me. Let's see. So the third book, well, the third short story is called The Contractors by Lisa Ko. And so basically, this is a story of 2 girls. One lives in New Jersey and one lives in the Philippines, and they have the same exact name and they work for the same company. So they accidentally get both attached to an email, and they start like talking and, you know, just having simple conversations just about their experience working for this company. And so the reason it's called The Contractors is because both of these women hold a role at this company that monitors content that's posted on this social media site. And the content that they are monitoring is gruesome, like killings, rapes, kids doing bad things and just everything that is disturbing that should not be on the internet or even be done in general. They have to watch this content and kind of categorize it as to what guidelines it's not following. So as we see throughout the story, basically both women are not being paid a fair amount. The one who lives in the Philippines, she is being paid $400 a month with more expectations than the girl who lives in New Jersey, but she only makes like $20,000 a year, and they like fall out over this because it's like the girl in the Philippines is like, well, you have it way better than me, and she's like working super hard so that she can move to America. And it's just like, girl, both of our lives suck, and this is just a capitalistic corporation that we work for. And so one of them decides to blow the lid off of what is happening at this business, but the ending really, it was like, damn, this is it. So yeah, I ended up rating it 3 stars because it was good, like really good up until the very end, because it kind of just like shows the way, you know, women are not appreciated in their roles, and then capitalism, surprise surprise. So the 4th short story is called Sweet Virginia by Caroline Kepnes. And okay, at first when I was reading this, I was like, literally my face, like okay. So the main character, her name is Shelby, and so she's like obsessed with Hallmark movies, and I loathe Hallmark movies. Talk about a trope that is worn out. Like, how do you have a whole network station of the same movies playing over and over with a different character in a different city, working for some big company, and they risk it all for love? It's always about women risking it all for the sake of love. Like, oh, I slipped and I fell and he caught me. Once I looked in his eyes, I knew I was in love. And it's like, no, you didn't. You'll be there for 3 days and then you love this man and you quit your job. Girl, what? But anyways, so Shelby's obsessed with Hallmark movies, and she works for this magazine called City Women, and it's about women empowerment, and she's pitching all these ideas, which are actually very crap ideas, and when she's pitching them, she thinks they're the best ideas in the world. But her boss, Annette, is like, no, girl, this sucks. And so she wants to write this story about modern love based off Hallmark movies, and she's like, no, we're not doing that. And so she's in her first trimester of pregnancy, and she gets fired from her job. So she sits at home obsessed with Hallmark movies, and the day she gets fired, she goes home and she leaves the door open, and the dog goes outside, and the dog dies. The family dog dies. And basically her mom is like, you know, I don't think this is healthy. And so once she has her baby, her mom moves in with her and her husband, and just to help take care of their baby. And so basically this girl is so obsessed with Hallmark movies, she gets a random text from someone, and I'm not gonna spoil it because I will spoil it, but this is another good one. This might be like my second favorite. Yeah, I think this is my second favorite. So yeah, something happens, there's a twist and turn, and basically it's like a comparison of what womanhood should look like. And I don't know, it's kind of disturbing. Like, a lot of these is like, oh my god, my brain, what the heck. Okay, so yeah, read this one. I gave 3.5, definitely a 3.5, because I could read it again. I could read it again and probably highlight some new things that definitely disturbed me. But if you're yeah, just read it. Okay, so our next one is Halfway to Free by Emma Donahue. And so the last three were kind of like bores to me. And I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's because I was reading them back to back to back, but they all fell super short. So Halfway to Free is again another thing in the future. And so basically they're trying to do population control. They want to stop people from having kids. So this is in like 2060. Yeah, like the year 2060, 2160, and they're shooting to bring the population down to like 1 million people on Earth so people can have kids. And so we're following along this woman who basically has a desire to want to have kids. And so the Halfway to Free comes from a birth control that they have like pierced in their ear, and it's called Free, like, but it's spelled PHRI. And they have like all these different slogans that promote, you know, having this birth control, and it's not really optional. Like, there are some people who are still secretly having children, but they're definitely decreasing the population. Like, this girl has never seen a baby in person. The only people who can have babies are like the rich and the elite, and they don't even take care of their babies. Their babies are taken care of by robot nannies. Yep, robot nannies. So she meets this guy at work, and they're doing 2 truths and a lie, and she accidentally says like, I've always wanted to have kids, which was a truth, and everybody was like, oh, that's definitely a lie, that's definitely a lie. And then she meets up with this coworker, and he's like, I feel the same way. And you just know kind of where that goes from there. It's really crazy, the art of birth control, and just like how it's done to kind of control people in a sense. Like, there's a line in the book that talks about how the pill first came about, like, you know, the birth control pill that people use right now. And they was like, well, if they had the pill back then, why didn't women use it? Why would they still be out here just carelessly having kids? And because they want to. Autonomy. Is that? But anyways, yeah, another future. So enjoyed it. It's really giving me like, you know, Handmaid's Tale-ish. Like, a lot of these short stories are like the ones especially set in the future. It's really like different, I guess you can say, like if we're on different little planets, different approaches to the Handmaid's Tale, which, I mean, I'm not against Handmaid's Tale. I actually kind of like it. Never read the book, but I do like the show. All right. So the next one is Bear Witness. And this one really was like, okay. But Bear Witness by Mary Gaskill. It's about basically this old lady who gets raped. And she's raped by a former student of hers who struggles with some type of mental illness. The reason that I really wanted to give it 2.5 stars was the fact that it was just jumping around. Like, the writing wasn't done that well for me. It wasn't executed well. It had a lot of potential, like a lot of potential, and it just fell short because we were just hopping around, and I couldn't tell who was talking when, and it was like from 4 different perspectives, and I was just like, okay, hold on, let's dial it back a bit. And this is the short story where I had to turn on Audible because I was hoping that there would be like some voice changes with the person who was reading on Audible, and there were slight changes, but I might need to listen to it again to see if like my perspective and my rating changes. But right now it's definitely sitting at 2.5. And so basically the main character name is Miss P. It's like Pietrynski, and he was her student like 50 years ago, and he ends up working for her dad's shop, and she lives above her dad's shop. And it's like, it's cringy in some parts because it's like about sex, and then like sexual fantasies and just fetishes. And like, there was one part that made me laugh, like LOL, like completely out loud. And it was like, Mark had an obsession with Granny Poon, and I'm like, people have an imagination, and I think that part was funny. But again, sometimes some short stories need a little bit more oomph in it. But yeah, definitely this one. So I know I said the last 3 in the collection were kind of doozies, but really it's just the last two. So yeah, 2.5. Thank you, Mary, I guess, for the entertainment. But there were also moments of like ableism, because the guy, I mean, like, he's 50 now, but he has a fiance and she's not mentally ill in any type of way or struggles with any personality disorders, and they're like, why is she dating him? And it's just like, I don't know. So the last short story within the collection is Shine, Pamela Shine. And I'm glad this was the last one, because if it was the first one, I would have not finished the collection. It was boring. 2 stars. It's about this woman named Pamela who has been divorced for 15 years. She lives a very boring life, a very passive life. And she puts exclamation points at the end of everything she says to make things seem a lot more exciting than what they actually are. She doesn't say how she feels, and yeah, there's this plot twist where she's supposed to shine, and Pamela still does not shine. Maybe after. Maybe I use my imagination and she shines a little bit, but Pamela did not shine. Anyways, that's my short, brief little recap, thoughts, maybe, on the Out of Line collection. I think it's really dope, like, being able to find books on your own. Of course, it's easy to be influenced by what other people are sharing on Bookstagram and what the masses are reading, but it was nice to be like, okay, I do not have to keep up with everyone else. I can just, take this time and enjoy something that maybe others aren't reading, and maybe now you'll read based off my mere little suggestion. But yeah, definitely, if you have Kindle, check it out. It was cool. It was cool. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Leave in the comments any books that you've read lately that aren't like mass circulating and that you just discovered on your own. I'm really intrigued. I want to spend more time this year like reading books that I want to read, not that I feel like I have to read because everyone else is reading. It's really easy to fall into that. But I hope you all have an amazing rest of your year. Thank you for tuning in, and subscribe. Until next time, bye.